So I'm going to introduce Srinath Gopal, who is a technical architect at Hitachi Vantara, and he will share with you the story how his company, Hitachi Vantara, is using Atlassian tools to develop, track, and release applications. So please welcome Srinath.
Thank you, guys. Good afternoon. Um, Hope everyone's having a great summit, not just having fun, but also learning new stuffs from the great sessions that Atlassian has put together. It's great, isn't it? Okay. I'll just start with a small story that's kind of related to my actual session. Okay. But a couple of weeks back, I met my friend and his daughter at a coffee shop, and we're having a casual conversation. I just told him about the upcoming summit, my travel, and presentation, and even the title of the presentation. So his daughter, who's a fourth grader, she was hooked to her phone, she was playing some games, but the word boss in the title actually caught her attention. She said, you know what, last weekend, my dad and I were on our way to my best friend's birthday party, and he got a call from his boss. He immediately pulled over, took his phone out, and started working. And he was on a call for a long time. And her face faded when she said, her face faded when she said, well, the party was almost over when we reached. So some of you might have been in this situation if you're part of a team that managed release, right? Or you could have been a victim. Say, for example, you might be working in a feature that worked the day before, but might have failed because of some release that actually went into production. Okay, so, well, we were in the same situation, but I'm here to say that you can definitely avoid those post-release nightmares if you use the Atlassian tools. And I'm going to share our story, what happened at Hitachi Vantara, how we identified, analyzed, and solved our problems using simple but powerful features using Atlassian tools. Okay? So before we get into the details, let's say like who we are and what we do and what problem we really faced, and most importantly, why Atlassian, okay? And then how we currently plan, track, and release using various tools provided from Atlassian suite, and where we are now. Okay? So Hitachi Vantara. Hitachi Vantara is a wholly owned subsidiary of Hitachi Ltd. It was founded as Hitachi Data Systems in 1989, and now it became a part of Hitachi Vantara in 2017. There's nothing but like 3 different companies within Hitachi was actually formed as a single integrated business. So one is called Hitachi Data Systems, which was focused on storage products, and IoT-focused Hitachi Insight Group, and we had a business analytics platform tool called Pentaho. So these 3 were combined to make Hitachi Vantara. We currently call it as Hitachi Vantara, but we started using Atlassian tools when we were actually Hitachi Data Systems a couple of years back. Okay? So Hitachi, like as many of you know, has a big reputation. It's been there in the industry for more than 100 years. It's a multinational conglomerate. It has a highly diversified company. And it's been in 11 different business segments at least, like telecommunications, infrastructure, power systems, railway, etc. But Hitachi Vantara's sole focus is on information technology, operation technology, and industrial IoT. Okay? So, but seriously, what we really do is we sell products that are like high-end data storage products. We provide solutions based on data, analytics, and AI, and also have a huge portfolio of services that help our customers. Okay? So, if you're in the business of selling products, solutions, and services, and no matter what industry or focus, we all know that customer is the single most valuable asset. So we need a CRM applications to manage relationships with customers and also have interactions with our customers and partners. So we use Salesforce CRM. Like many enterprise companies now use Salesforce CRM to maintain relationships with their customers and partners. Okay? And Salesforce CRM is the most widely used IT application in our enterprise. So you might be wondering how Atlassian is actually coming into this mix. To understand that, let's see the problem that we are facing before we started using Atlassian tools. Okay. So like many global companies, we have a geographically diversified workforce. Companies want to create small groups that offer best-in-class functional expertise with deep local knowledge. So nowadays, really highly impossible to have a co-located agile team. So even in our case, we have teams spread across the globe, different geos. It's difficult even to have a conference call at a time. It will be either late night for someone or early morning for someone. So it's a highly diversified company. So our industry experts, like they came up with a concept of like center of excellence. Like you can see like many companies actually follow center of excellence. It's nothing but a team, but it's nothing but, it's called like a group of people who work together to like focus on a specific area to drive best practices and you can say like to bring successful business outcomes. Okay. In a way, it's actually to promote alignment and deeper integration. It's nothing but team or teams. So it's like a bigger team, globally diversified. That's it. So we also had a bigger team and a center of excellence for Salesforce especially. And so we had different Scrum teams, part of that center of excellence, and they're all working on a common goal to drive innovation and improvement to a Salesforce CRM practice that eventually help business to meet their goals. Okay. So if you see here, we had a project planning tool, and we had a source code management system to track our changes, see revision history, etc. And we had our own release process. Okay. But the main thing is all these tools are from different vendors. They're disconnected. Okay. So they all exist in a monolithic form. It was difficult for us to track what is actually getting released, what is in scope for a release. Okay. So I can say like most of the releases that we used to do using those tools will result in a call like, Houston, we have a problem to my boss, and then boss has to divert those calls to other team members. So this used to happen a lot. So in a nutshell, the processes and tools that we had did not support each other. So instead of being an enabler, they diminished the quality and also the output. Okay. So at that time, when we were using different tools, we couldn't actually go beyond 48 story points in a release. And we used to do releases every 2 weeks. And sometimes the release preparation, like creating a package and getting ready to release, it could even go 2 to 3 days. Okay. So we went and asked our team, like, provide feedback. And usually if you go to a team and ask for feedback, positive feedback, you hardly get 1 or 2. But if you ask for something's going wrong, provide us a feedback, we got a big list. Okay. So with that, we realized that we didn't have the right tools in place, and we had to tweak our processes. And most importantly, we were asked to use tools that were available, that we were imposed to use some tools, but we wanted to actually take a COE to take a central authority of what tools to use and how to use, so we can drive out these inefficiencies easily. Okay. And so now, why Atlassian? So you have many choices, but why Atlassian? So we clearly got to know that tools and process, they didn't support each other. At the same time, we had a cloud-first strategy. We are moving a lot of our on-prem applications to the cloud. So we are searching for products that are in the cloud that can actually help us drive this. And Atlassian was a very good fit for us. That's one more reason why we went for Atlassian is they had a suite of tools that kind of integrated to each other. Okay. So to run our projects, manage our source code, and also do deployments, we can definitely depend on Atlassian stack because they had different tools for different purposes. But for in a software delivery lifecycle, from start to finish, you can definitely use the tools. Okay. And we also had another vision of having a unified tool set. So any member of a COE should be able to effortlessly get accurate and meaningful information, no matter which tool they are in. They could be in the project tracking tool, they could be in, let's say, a source code management system, but still they should be able to get accurate information of what's actually happening. So where the stories are, what status they are in. You should be able to track your code changes, and you should also know like when things are actually getting released. Okay. So this search, it led us to only one suite of products, that's Atlassian, because with their great tools and their marketplace apps, we use a couple of their marketplace apps, they have created an ecosystem that can help you at different stages of your software development lifecycle. Okay. So now let's see like how we plan, track, and release using Atlassian tools. You might have guessed it, like when I said like start to finish, we are using Confluence, Jira, Bitbucket, and Bitbucket Pipelines. Okay. And we primarily use Confluence and Jira during our planning stage. But to track our stories, where they are in the life cycle, and also track all the code changes for the particular individual like user story, we use a combination of Jira and Bitbucket. And our developers continuously integrate the code in the remote repository in Bitbucket Cloud, and each and every check-in is actually triggered by an automated build to make sure that code is in a deployable state. So you can call this like CI/CD, so we use Bitbucket Pipelines for that. Okay. And we also built custom reports and dashboards that actually track and analyze the team's progress throughout the project. Okay, so we didn't want to make the same mistakes like using the tools in the like in a silo, like in a monolithic form. The first thing what we wanted to do is let's explore the integration capabilities between these tools and have them integrated. The first step, it was very easy to integrate Confluence and Jira. With a few clicks, you can actually integrate these two tools. And that helped us to get a quick and easy navigation back and forth between Jira and Confluence. And once we moved our repository, we actually had a repository on-prem, then we actually moved to Git repository in Bitbucket Cloud. The first thing that what we did is we actually integrated Bitbucket and Jira. Again, simple, easy steps to integrate. So this gave us a seamless integration between like the issues you have in Jira or the stories in Jira and the code that you actually push one individual user story to Bitbucket. Okay. These are very small changes, but this really made a big impact. Okay, so I told you like we got a lot of feedback from our users, and they really wanted like very like easy traceability of actually what's happening in a release. Okay, and usually in a Scrum, whenever you plan, you have an obligation to release what you have planned. Right? It's indirectly, it means that you need to release the product in production or the piece of software in production so that you get full value for the customers. Okay. We always had a confusion around the releases, like when the release will happen and what are the events that actually affect our releases and etc. And we used to have this information in different places. For example, we're using SharePoint calendars to store certain information. We had shared Outlook calendars. So clearly understood that the users, they're not able to get clear visibility of like when the release is happening. Even though there are several ways you're trying to communicate to them, but there's no one place where they can go and get all this information. So we came up with a unified calendar view using a product called Atlassian Team Calendars. Okay. It's really an awesome tool. I would recommend you guys to try it. So if you see here, we have one combined view of all things that actually affect releases. And the right-hand side, you can see the calendar name is called Salesforce COE Events Calendar. You can create your own event type. So in our case, we have an event type that actually tracks all our moratoriums. So IT moratoriums, when we don't make any changes to our production instance because we're not supposed to make, that's when our users are heavily engaged with our production systems. And we have like month-end, year-end moratoriums like that. Okay. And you can also see, this is a Confluence-based calendar. So you can link your Confluence page to each and every event. So the green color ones are where we have the events. That we plan the events for the quarter, like we have a meeting and then we plan for the entire quarter. And so when users come in and they see, okay, this is when the events actually happen, they have a release on that particular day. But to get more details, just clicking the event takes you to the Confluence page, and they can get clear details about what is actually going in a release, what's there in the pipeline. So it's easy for them to actually get this information. It's this very simple tool, but it's really an intuitive Atlassian product, and this helped us to solve the problem. Okay. And also that there are some users, especially I would say our governance board, they're not very familiar with how Jira works, but they still wanted to know what we are releasing. Because we have a blanket change request, which allows us to release very frequently, but still, for the SOX compliance, they really want to know like what's actually getting released. They want to track the stories and actually who signed off on the stories. So for them, we actually created a bunch of charts. It's there in the Confluence page. So they again just start in the calendar, they click the calendar, takes them to the Confluence page, but they can get a visual view of what's actually getting released. And this particular page has charts so that they can visually understand. For example, here they can see like how many stories, how many bugs, and what are the different customers within the organization are going to get value. For example, sales, partners, service. So there will be stories different for each and every business unit that will be going as part of a release. And in addition to that, they'll also have the list of Jira stories underneath that, so they can click and they can go to Jira. And if they want to see like who really signed off on it, they can see the history and they can see, okay, a business signed off on it, it's good to go. Okay. So since we started using Confluence, we started encouraging our users to stop emailing and use all the collaborative features within Confluence. So Confluence has like inline comments, page comments. You can even actually subscribe to the calendar. So whenever we actually change an event or whenever we create a new event, in the calendar they automatically get notified. So let's say we move the release dates due to some, like let's say our moratorium calendars change and we have to move release dates. It's easy, like when you just change it, automatically they get a notification saying that, okay, there's some change in the release dates. You don't have to actually send an email or anything. Okay. And also, whenever we do a release, we don't send an email, we just use the Confluence notification feature to just send a notification to the entire group. So we have these small features that exist in Confluence. It helps us to collaborate, and you saw like clearly it's a unified calendar view where people they usually bookmark that calendar and they can come to the calendar view, they can get insight into what's actually happening in the release. Okay. And then, so they liked it, and then they actually, especially product owners, they said they wanted something in addition to what the Confluence could offer, especially because they are the key stakeholder in a project, and they are responsible to manage expectation between the customers, the other stakeholders, the development team, release management team. So they really wanted to have the authority to decide when a story has to be released. So they wanted a feature so that they can actually go and communicate to the entire team that, hey, I want this particular story to be released on this particular date. Because you can work on stories which is like, you don't want to release now, you can release 3 months down the line because it could be related to a product launch or something. And we have seen instances where many companies, they call us product leaks, like you're seeing like screenshots or some features about an API that gets leaked to productions. Basically what has happened is they didn't release in the right time. Before the launch of the product, they actually released something. So to avoid all this, they actually wanted to clearly communicate to the entire users that we actually want to tell the users that when this particular thing has to be released. Okay. So for this, we actually started using the fixed versions feature within Jira. So a product owner just needs to go and tag a story to a fixed version. And we started naming the fixed version, starting with the release name, with the version number and the date. So it clearly tells everyone in the team that, okay, this particular story, even though you work on this, you're able to complete it, but you don't have to release it until this particular date. Okay. So this fixed versions gives you very clear insights into what is actually happening in the entire release. Because there's a feature called Jira's Release Hub, and it tracks status of the version and gives you a summary at any point in time. So you go and tag certain stories to a particular fixed version, and in the Release Hub, if you go and drill down on Release Hub, you can see what stories are actually part of the particular release and what status they are in. Even just highlighting that green bar that you see there, it'll tell you, like, it gives you a breakup, like how many are done, how many are not done. And if there are any warnings, for example, especially if you're using Bitbucket, and if your pull request has been declined, then it shows up in the warning saying that, okay, there's an open pull request or a declined pull request, and you have a release in a couple of days. So it alerts the users just from this view. So we saw like how Confluence and Jira, very small, simple changes, but powerful features that actually helped us to connect these two tools and also provide a clear visibility of what is actually going in a release. Then we wanted to take it to the next level. So we, as I said, we integrated Jira and Bitbucket. And you just need to grant access between these two applications. They can communicate each other. But how they actually communicate each other is using Jira issue key. So you just need to add the Jira issue key in your commit comments. Then behind the scenes, Atlassian, they basically index based on the Jira issue key, and it actually shows up in Jira. Okay. So, and you can also enforce issue keys to be mandatory in each and every commit comments. Okay. So if you have noticed, if you're using this feature and if you have noticed, you can clearly see on the right-hand side, there's something called Jira development panel. It appears in your Jira user story. In a detailed view, you can see Jira development panel appearing on the right-hand side. And what it actually does is, based on the issue key that you introduced in your commit comments, so it tracks and checks, okay, this particular issue is part of the different commits. This particular issue could be part of different branches. And also, if you have pull request, and also keeps track whether this particular issue is part of pull request or not. Okay. And it also has another feature. If you're, let's say, a developer in Jira, without even logging into Bitbucket, they can click a link called Create Branch. They can create a branch in Bitbucket. It's easy. They don't actually go to Bitbucket and create a branch. Okay. And it even auto-populates the Jira key and with the story description. So it's a very intuitive, but very simple, intuitive, easy to use, and it comes handy for developers. Okay. And so still we are in Jira. We never went to Bitbucket, but you can still see some of the, like let's say in case of commits, you can see like what files were modified, and then what lines, even it gives you a hint about like how many lines have been added or deleted. It gives you the commit message. And so you just clicking on those commits, you can get insight into all this without leaving Jira. You can be in Bitbucket. This not only helps the developers, even for other people, like what part of the Scrum team, even for solution analysts, they can clearly see, okay, some development work is actually happening and these are things that are getting changed. Okay. And same case with pull request. If you actually click pull request, it will tell you what's the pull request ID and who's the author and who's the reviewer, whether the pull request is merged or not. So still in Jira, not in Bitbucket, but you can get all this information within Jira. Okay. And again, this integration and using the Jira issue key in Bitbucket, it also helps you in Jira release hub, which you saw in a couple of slides back. What it does is, whatever you see in the development panel, it gets aggregated here based for each and every story. You can clearly see here we have deployed certain stories to production. You can say like all the stories have been merged with master. So still in Jira, from the release hub, you can get all this insightful information. So if a release manager, for him it's like very helpful. Even for product owner, they can see, okay, what happened to the particular release, has been released or not. Okay. And again here, similarly, as I mentioned, like if you have any story that is pending due to pull request, someone didn't approve it or someone declined it, it shows up in warnings. Okay. So now, let's say other way around. If you are in Bitbucket, okay, so how can you get a preview of your Jira issue? Same, the Jira issue key comes handy here. So for developers who spend more time in Bitbucket, they can go to any commit comment and they can see clearly a hyperlink to the Jira issue. And when they click it, they'll get a preview of the Jira issue. It doesn't take them to Jira, but still you can do, let's say you want to add some comments, you can do that. And if you even want to transition them from one status to another status, you can do it from within Bitbucket, without even going to Jira. But if you want to really get more details, clicking the story description or the issue key, it takes you into Jira. So the another useful feature is if you use those Jira issue key in your pull request. So if you're collaborating on the pull request, let's say when you're reviewing your code, you find some issues, or you find something, okay, this might affect another issue, then in a pull request, you can just mention the other stories issue key. Then it comes handy there for the developer could just click and see like what's the other story and how it's affecting the other story as well. Okay. So now Jira and Bitbucket integration. So these are two different tools meant for two different purposes, but both are important in your software development lifecycle, right? So integrating them gives you clear visibility and helps you like between the relationship between the issues and the code. Okay, so we had our CI servers and automation builds running from on-prem, and we wanted to move to cloud, and we are looking for a solution. That's when Bitbucket Pipelines actually came in. And again, as part of our cloud-first strategy, we actually wanted to move as much as possible into the cloud. Okay. So what we did is we started using Bitbucket Pipelines. We stopped using all our on-prem applications, especially that had our continuous integrations and automated builds. Okay, so Bitbucket Pipelines. I'm not sure like how many people are aware, but just a preview of like what Bitbucket Pipelines is. It's an integrated CI/CD for Bitbucket Cloud. It's easy to enable. Just if you're on Bitbucket Cloud, you can go to settings and enable Bitbucket Pipelines. It helps you automate the deployments, and it gives you build status. For example, a build is failed, immediately you get a notification saying that build is failed. Okay? And it's very important, it's in the cloud, no more hassles to maintain or anything. And it's like an add-on to Bitbucket, and they have various ways how you can actually trigger builds. Okay? And so what Atlassian actually does is it creates containers for us in the cloud, configured for our needs, and it can run builds based on Docker images. It can even pull Docker images from Docker Hub, AWS, or Google Cloud. Okay. So as I said, it's very easy to enable them, and also very easy to write a scripts because you don't need a code. It's just there's an YAML file. You just go and put your instructions in, and it'll start executing based on the pipeline job. For example, you can run builds based on a commit. You can run builds based on creation of a tag. You can also run builds based on, for example, custom builds where you want to schedule and run it. So there are various ways, and Atlassian are giving many features in those areas. Okay. So as I said, the very first line is just pull Docker images from Docker Hub, just instruction. As long as it's in Docker Hub, you can pull it. If you're hosting in AWS, just need to give the authentication parameters so you can actually pull from AWS. And if you have multiple branches, you can use a wildcard to say, like, let's say we have feature /star. Whenever there's a commit that actually happens on any branch that starts with feature, it triggers the pipeline job. And you can have a manual deployments. Let's say you want to deploy to production, but you actually have some pre-deployment steps to be done, and then deploy to production. Then you can just have that particular task to be manual. So it'll wait for you to actually run it. Okay. So it has like various phases of triggering a deployment, right? So what we did in our case, like we had a use case where we want to retrieve metadata from our production org and actually deploy it to the all other orgs. So because we make changes in production when it comes to reports, dashboards, and email templates, so we just wanted to propagate the changes to other environments. So what we did is we actually created a custom pipeline, and we scheduled it. And it actually creates a tag, and a tag-based pipeline gets initiated. That retrieves the code from our production systems, and it makes a commit in a branch. And it actually runs parallel builds. The commit actually triggers parallel builds that actually deploys code to the other instances. So it's easy for us to actually bring the changes from one org to another multiple orgs, but just by chaining this, like you can see this is the YAML file that we actually came up with. And it also has another feature where in one of your job, if you're creating some files, output the certain files, here it's called as artifacts. You can actually use those artifacts for a subsequent step. So we actually have some Python scripts that generate some package XMLs, and that actually gets passed on to the subsequent steps so that we can actually use the package XML to retrieve our information from the orgs. Okay. So this YAML file clearly says like we have a custom-based pipeline, a tag-based pipeline which uses artifacts, and you have parallel job that runs based on a commit. Okay. And you can even call a custom pipeline using a REST API. So Atlassian has given a feature where you can just use a REST API and initiate a build in your Bitbucket pipeline. Okay. Yeah, so when we started moving from our like on-prem servers and then to Bitbucket pipeline, and you can see like clearly we use pipelines a lot. And a couple of months back, we were actually using 8,823 minutes in a month, and it just costs $80. And if you can compare like how much we are actually spending maintaining our on-prem servers and doing patches and all. So it's like an add-on, simple, easy, it's even very cheap, to be frank. So this is actually Bitbucket and Bitbucket pipelines. It's kind of like they're automatic, they're integrated, and it helps us in our release process. Okay. So all our development and deployment, everything exists in the cloud now. Even Salesforce development, Salesforce being in cloud, and all our whole release process in cloud, like Jira Cloud, Confluence Cloud, Bitbucket in the cloud, and pipelines. Okay. And this helped us to increase our release velocity. Okay. And our team is now able to focus on other areas, and we had a bigger team initially trying to maintain all our automation CI servers, focus on other areas. Okay, reports and dashboards. So Jira, they have a lot of built-in reports and dashboards. If you're using the fixed versions, there's something called release burn-down report, similar to sprint burn-down report. And you can create your dynamic charts using Confluence, and as long as you integrated Jira, you can pull in data from Jira and build your charts. Okay. But, in our COE, we have leadership team, and there's some team members who are not heavily engaged with any of these tools, especially the upper management. So they really wanted to get some insightful information like every quarter that will help them to see like how we are progressing. And for them, it's very hard for us to actually give them different links to different Confluence pages, and also show them like how different Jira reports work. It's like hard to train them as well. So we're looking for a solution, and we found a solution in Atlassian Marketplace. There's a Marketplace app called All-in-One Reports, and it actually gives you an animated and very interactive report. So let's have a clipping of that. So let me just run through this. So we are still in Jira. So this one dashboard which has like 8 reports, but I could only show you 2 here. Yeah, so you can click on any section of your pie chart. You can get more information about what stories belong. You can download, and you can print them. Even when you try to download in a PDF, it actually gets your chart as well. So if you've seen this, it's very easy for them. They just need to, we release this every quarterly, so they just go to this release dashboard, and they know clearly like what went in which release, like what's the velocity, and just they can click on each and every release version. They'll get clear insights like what went in a particular release, like what was the velocity, and similarly like which customers actually got more value because of the releases. Like you have like sales, renewals, marketing, like different teams within the COE. So where we are now, like before we started using Atlassian, we definitely were having a lot of issues trying to integrate tools from different vendors, and we are using a mix of tools. We are spending more time trying to actually get information out of each and every tool and try to relate them. So, and also as a result, our velocity and quality was taking a big hit. Now, after using Atlassian, you can say we doubled our release velocity. We are somewhere in 40s, and now we are in 80s. And even our release preparation time, especially after moving to Bitbucket pipelines, from days it has gone to just few hours. So we actually took small steps to reach that. I mean, nobody can go from first floor to second floor in one jump, right? So you need to actually take one step at a time. So we actually started with Confluence, Jira, and then we went to Bitbucket and Bitbucket Pipelines. But our aim was we need to have an integrated solution. Okay. And the users now, they get the benefit of like starting in any tool, and they can clearly navigate to other tools. Still, they can get very good, accurate information about a story, and also the entire release. So that's what it says. It's start in any tool, navigate, seamlessly get accurate information. And so if we see our center of excellence, it had business leadership team, enterprise architecture, our change approval board, development operations, but the missing piece was process and tools. Even though we had processes and tools, they did not support each other. They are actually hassles. I should say, like we used to spend more time trying to get information out of it. But now, adding process and tools as part of a COE, and where we decide what tools to use, because we define the process as part of the COE, so now we need to have a flexibility to pick our own tools and set it up as per our needs. So now, with all these changes, we are able to get accurate information, achieve complete traceability end to end, and also improve quality at the same time. Okay. So, to be honest, my team and I, we are from the CRM domain. We are not like Atlassian experts or certified Atlassian admins, but we are able to actually do this very easily. The tools really help us. I mean, the Atlassian community and the tools, they give us a lot of information which is easy to learn and actually set it up. So had we gone to other tools, I'm not sure whether we could have done it or not, but with Atlassian tools, we're able to clearly make it. Okay. And yeah, I hope what you learned here will definitely travel with you. Doesn't stay in Vegas, comes and helps you at work as well. Thank you.